Hey everybody, I was just out for a walk this Saturday morning and was thinking a little bit about why some writers use a great deal of rich descriptive detail in their storytelling and why others do not. For example, Desiree's Baby by Chopin has very little detail because its main point is a moral one about hypocrisy, misogyny, and misogyny. It doesn't need to give us a lot of detail about the characters because the characters are basically just kind of puppets acting out this moral play, right? It doesn't need to give us a lot of description of the setting because the setting is a lot like a lot of other stories many of us have read that take place on southern plantations, and one looks very much like another. Now, Sister Carrie by Theodore Dreiser is full of very rich descriptive detail because he's writing about Chicago about 100 years ago, which at the time would have been very crowded and dirty, and because they were still using horse and buggies, the streets are literally filled with horse crap. And especially for working class people, it could be very unpleasant. But at the same time, there was this other side of it, which was very glamorous. Very rich people in nightclubs with fancy clothes and fancy shops. And Sister Carrie wants to move from that one underworld of the working class to the more glamorous world. And Dreiser is trying to call attention to the differences in that kind of social class. And so the reason he gives us so much detail is he wants us to feel just how crowded and dirty and generally unpleasant it could be in the city streets, especially for a working class person like Carrie is at the beginning of the story. Incidentally, Birmingham, about 100 years ago, would have been very similar to this Chicago. The air in downtown Birmingham would have been sooty from all of the steel mills. And where I am right now in Highland Park was actually built as kind of a getaway for the wealthy people. This whole Highland Avenue was just lined with mansions from one end to the other. There was no RoHo, there were no apartment complexes. It was just mansion after mansion all along the road. And that's because downtown was, again, dirty, crowded, full of horse crap, violent. And there was one old blues song they called Birmingham the murder capital of the world. And Highland Park, again, was up in the hills, a little distance from downtown, and gave the wealthy people a place that they could go that was more pleasant.